All right, welcome back to another video, guys. We are currently 6 or 7 weeks out from PRORAW 15. Another good week of training, actually. One of the best I've had in a little while, especially because obviously towards the end of that big dogs prep, all that sort of just went to shit. So really good week. One of the things I spoke about in the last video was making sure that my steps were up there 10k every single day. I have adjusted that now. I'll explain a bit more later, probably after I go over the squats, but that has changed just a little bit. Now, so Monday bench day, had 220 kilos for 3 doubles. This is probably the easiest 220 kilos I've ever moved. Every set felt really easy, nice and controlled. Even the last set, I felt like I could still hit it for a triple, even have maybe a 4th rep in there. At the moment, my pressing feels really, really strong, really good. Can't complain. Sort of a perfect way to start off the week, having such a good session. My nutrition for the day and this entire week was pretty much on point. Sleeps were really good. I think I had one bad sleep. Funnily enough, it would have been that Monday night. I just kept waking up. But other than that, my sleeps were perfect. Nutrition on point, hydration really good. So good start to the week to build momentum sort of going forward. But yeah, 220 for 3 doubles. Again, really easy. I had 180 kilos for a set of 8 close grip back down. That was also really easy. A set that I thought was going to be harder than what it was. It just wasn't. And yeah, so super pumped with how my pressing movement's going at the moment. Everything feels really easy. And provided I can just keep my shoulders and elbows healthy, I think we'll have a decent PB on the day. So onto squats, 390 kilos for a double tonight, off the back of 370 for a double last week, which was sketchy to say the least, but still really easy. This session this was the one session where the night before my sleep wasn't amazing, so I came in feeling a bit tired, but again, I know that I don't have to be 100% to squat 390, so as long as I felt good, which I did, my joints felt really good, my warm-ups felt all right, but I'll get into a little bit more about the whole step thing after I show the squats and all that sort of stuff. So again, warm-ups felt really good. Did my usual 250, 300 first set in reps, jumped to 350, and then went from 350 to 390. Now, for some reason, when I did the 390, I set my belt way too tight. I had it perfect for the 350, the last warm-up, but for some reason, I just went tighter. I wasn't really thinking, I don't know, I guess I just wasn't really thinking, but basically that kind of ended up screwing me a little bit, and you'll see, instead of squatting 390 for 2, I squat 390 for like 1.9. Basically what happened, so I do the first rep, hit the hole, and I come up. About halfway up, I sort of get those little spots in my eyes that mean I'm trending towards passing out. So when I finish the rep, you'll see that I stand there for a little bit of extra time. I'm trying to maintain my brace, obviously, to hold the 390 kilos, but I'm trying to get some more air in so I don't pass out. But obviously, I didn't really think of not doing the second rep. If it's programmed for a double, I'm going to try. Yeah, went to squat the second rep. Again, hit the hole, went nice and deep. None of that was an issue. But as I stood up, I started to go a bit black, bit dark, on the way to passing out. So I just sort of, it was hard because I was trying to find the balance between pushing so I can get the weight up, but not pushing so hard that I actually do pass out. So you'll see that the bar rises, it stops, then it rises again, and it stops, and then it rises again. And I tell the guys to take it. I'm pretty much completed the rep, and I tell them to take it because I was about to go. I started to like glaze over, it started to go black, and yeah, I was just like, nope, just take it. And yeah, the guys obviously on the ball there, they grabbed it off me, quickly rear-racked it. Adam from behind undid my belt, and then yeah, I just got some few breaths in, and I was pretty much all good after that. But yeah, so I guess 390 for 1.9, even though I was 90% of the way done for that second rep. But again, it means going forward that I'll make sure to double check sort of the tightness of my belt before I actually do the squat, which honestly feels like such a rookie mistake. But it's all part of it. I just wasn't paying enough attention. I was too busy focusing on like what I actually had to do during the set. And then again, when I tightened the belt, I know that it felt tight, but then when I got onto the bar, I was just focusing about, like the technique wise, where the bar's sitting on my back, where my feet go, all that sort of stuff. And I kind of neglected the feeling of how tight that belt was. And it was really tight. Like, it was already super tight when it was just, when I was, upright, which is obviously an issue because as you squat and get deeper into the hole, it just gets exponentially tighter. So bit of a rookie mistake, won't happen again going forward, or at least I don't think so. It'll only ever be an issue, I guess, if I'm in between belt sizes, but hopefully that won't be a problem going forward. So second bench day rolls around, again feeling good, nutrition, hydration, steps, everything's really good. So one of the things I touched on last week was that the non-negotiable was to get 10,000 steps every day. But I did notice that during my squat session, my legs and my hips felt really heavy, and I didn't feel like I had that explosiveness that I normally have. Now, obviously, we're talking about just walking and just getting some extra steps, but 10,000 steps a day when I weigh 170 kilos is not the same as if I was 90 kilos. It takes a lot more toll on my body to do the 10,000 steps. So had a chat with a few people, nutritionists, and a couple of people that I trust their advice on about the steps that I should be doing, or about how I should go about that. And basically, sort of all came to sort of a unanimous sort of decision that I'm gonna have to change the steps that I'm doing on specific days so I'm fresher for the heavier squats and the heavier deads, which it makes sense obviously, but the steps in general weren't something I was willing to just like completely give up. I don't want to go back to being that sort of lazy super heavyweight, because I'm actually enjoying moving. I'm enjoying being able to walk and not get 500 meters up the road and have my back and hips shit themselves to a point where I can't move, because that's just frustrating. So what I did going forward, and what I will do going forward, is the days prior and the days of squats and deads, I'll just chill a bit on the steps. I'm still going to go for the little walks after food, but I'm not going to go for those long ones that I have been going on. I'm not going to do the 2Ks and the 3K walks anymore, because as much as I enjoy being able to do them, they're just going to negatively impact my prep. And obviously when I'm trying to squat, 400 plus kilos next week, I need my legs, hips, back to be as fresh as possible. Otherwise, the session's just not going to go the way that I want it to, and that's just going to frustrate me. So I'll still pretty much try to aim for about like 7,000 on the days that I am training, or still have those heavier sessions. And then on my off days, I'll obviously try to increase that a bit and just see where we end up. But still want to make sure I'm moving, because the recovery aspect of it is huge. My body has felt so much better than it has in the past, so I don't really want to give that up. So on to my second bench day. Now, I had a chat with the coach when I got in, and we're going to be pushing the chain bench more than the inclines, which makes sense. The chain bench, I believe I'm going to get more out of, and is going to have a higher impact on my bench than the inclines. The inclines are nice, and it's good for that stretch. And obviously, I feel like it does build power in my bench, but not quite the same way that the chain bench does. Ever since implementing that, initially my bench just seems to keep taking those leaps and bounds, and obviously we're going to keep doing it as well. Now, again, I touched on using the Thompson Fat Pad. So far, that's been sort of a godsend. My shoulders and elbows have been feeling incredible. I haven't really had any niggles, and normally at this stage, if I'm squatting, mid to high 300s for reps, my elbows go to shit, my shoulders start to hurt, all that sort of stuff, and I just haven't had any of that. It's been really good. So 180 kilos plus chains for 2 sets of 5, really easy. So you're looking at 205 kilos at the top, obviously 180 at the chest, and obviously there's, give or take a little bit. The chains obviously don't fully come off the ground, but whatever, close enough. 2 sets of 5, 180 plus chains, really easy. Honestly, I felt like I could have done a set of 8. Good pauses, I'm pretty sure, on like every single rep as well. But yeah, just easy. It was just a nice session. So like I said, pushing the chains, which means pulling back a little bit on the inclines. So we had 160 kilos for 2 sets of 8, which is obviously still like a pretty good incline. Like there's nothing wrong with that. It's 3.5 plates. But yeah, obviously I've done 180, done 4 plates for 8. So yeah, but still good to get some nice volume in. I had to self-unrack my inclines this week, which I hate doing on this bench. for some reason it just feels really shitty. My shoulders and that don't tend to like it, but I got through it pretty fine. Both sets were really easy, and yeah, super happy with how that session went. Just another one, building that momentum, and yeah, it's so up to that point is like a really good week of training. All right, Friday, the last session of the week, deadlifts. I was hoping to get 320 for a double, and that's exactly what the coach had prescribed. I wasn't sure if we were going to go to just, you know, multiple singles or try to hit a good double, but I'm glad we went with the 320 for a double. Now, over the last week, I've really looked at my deadlift, sort of analyzed where it was when I was essentially at my strongest, which of course, you know, has changed with my body composition being bigger. The technique has changed, but two deadlifts really stood out to me. My first 350 kilo deadlift at PRORAW 13 and a 345 kilo deadlift I pulled before nationals that I ended up getting sick for anyway, so it didn't matter. But that last sort of heavy pull, and both of those were probably the best deadlifts I've done, and I wanted to sort of get back to that sort of technique. So analyzed my starting position for my feet, how far and or close away from my shins, sort of what I'm doing, how am I getting into position, all that sort of stuff. Came to the sort of conclusion that one of the things I definitely need to do is start closer to the bar. Now, when I was 175 kilos, so a bit heavier, and rapidly climbing from like 165, I felt it really difficult to get down to the bar. So one of the adjustments I made was starting a little bit further away from the bar. So instead of the bar being over my midfoot, it was a little bit closer to my toes. Now, this made it easier to get down to the bar, but obviously puts me further away from it. And if you've seen any of my other deadlifts from the Big Dogs prep or a little bit prior, what happens is if I lock my legs at the wrong time, so a bit too early, I end up being so far over the bar that I can't actually lock it out. I get stuck. And it doesn't matter how strong I am through my back or my posterior chain, I can't pull it back without either pulling up with my arms, so as in bending my arms, and I obviously don't want to tear a bicep, and or without hitching or unlocking my legs and ramping. All of which are useless being a powerlifter. Something I could probably get away with if I was a strongman, but I'm obviously not. So, so one, starting closer to the bar, again, closer to my shins. You'll probably see in the video that I do rip my shins, and I know that's not ideal, but to me that means I am starting in a position that's close enough to where I should be. Now, the first rep I feel like was perfect, and it's probably the best rep I've done in quite a while. And at such a good weight, because it's easy to do good solid reps at 250, 280 kilos, because that stuff's not that heavy. But 320 kilos, the first rep I felt like was perfect, dead on how I wanted to execute. The second rep was good, but just not as good as what I needed it to be. When I dropped the bar, it obviously rolled away, and in the process of trying to get it back to where it was, you see that I go to pull it once, and then I sort of stopped because it felt a bit far away. I tried to reposition it, and it didn't quite work. So the camera just died, and I can't remember where I left off. So after that first rep, I put the bar down, and it rolls a little bit away from where I would have liked it. You'll see that I go to pull it, and then I realize it doesn't feel exactly right. So I try to reposition, try to pull the bar a little bit closer. And it was better than what it would have been, but again, it was still a little bit too far away from where I would have liked it and where it was in the first rep. But you see what I mean by I pull it, and if I extend my legs, lock my legs a little bit too early, then I end up being over the bar just a little bit. But because I started a bit closer to the bar this time, it wasn't that bad. It was pretty easy to fight through. So again, super happy. Obviously something else to work on. If I'm doing reps, I think what I really should be doing is on the descent after the first rep is not just letting it drop. I should be maintaining some sort of tension, being able to put it down sort of exactly where I want it, and then going again. Which again, you learn something every session, I suppose. Or at least it feels like I am these days. But yeah, so again, really happy. That first rep was probably the best executed rep of a deadlift I've done in quite some time. And it was the easiest 320 has sort of ever felt. And based off that, I feel like I've got 40 to 50 more kilos in the tank semi-comfortably. Obviously, that'll be sort of towards the top end, but I know that I can grind any sort of lift that I need to. But I still think that, yeah, I've got 40 to 50 more kilos in the tank. And obviously, over the next couple of weeks, I'll be able to keep using that same sort of technique, that same sort of setup that felt so good. And hopefully, obviously being 6 or 7 weeks out, hopefully just improve on it a little bit and then have it feeling a bit more natural. The only other thing I guess I did with that dead is just push a little bit through my heels more. So take the slack, lean back ever so slightly just to get more pressure through my heels and then pull. But yeah, super happy with that session, and that pretty much capped off a really good week of training. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it. Cheers.